Hello, friends. Many years ago, when I was very involved in spiritual um, groups, spiritual meetings, I went to something called satsang a lot, the non-dual or the invited teachings, if you're familiar with those. But I was very involved in that. I was doing a lot of volunteer work, and it was very much my world. And the whole focus was for everyone to wake up to our true nature. And I do remember back then, this is many years ago, I remember that many people were not really aware of what was going on in the world, as many people are today. So, in that sense, I might have been a little on my own. I did have some of my spiritual friends, and we were kind of talking about it because we were already aware what was going on in the world, and many people are just beginning to wake up to that, or at least really acknowledging that, like, something is wrong here. But I remember back then that there was something still missing. We were focusing on waking up from this illusion as we knew it was in the mind until you realize it. Then it's just kind of an idea. Um, but then there were those of us who also were waking up to the illusion, shall I say, the illusion in the illusion in the world, where we in spirituality it's like, the world is an illusion and we need to wake up from that. That's kind of a very shortcut way of saying it, but that is a lot of the focus, to really realize who we truly are, as I talk about a lot. um, so that's the illusion. But then within the illusion, many of us were aware that there is so much deception and lies and withholding and corruption. It was like so much, because a friend of mine in those days, he was already beginning to send me information about that. And actually, I had a very deep insight. Again, whether you believe it or not, I'm not attached to anybody believing what I share here. But when 9/11 happened, I closed my eyes, I remember, and I just, inside, there was just this deep knowing that the government was behind it. I have no idea where that came from, but it was like, oh, that's weird. And then, of course, later you started reading about it and hearing about it, and people called it, whatever they called it, conspiracy theories, and it can't be true. So, all that has been part of my world for many, many years. And so I remember in those days, when I would put a little post on Facebook that would say, there was an image of, there was something about, it's not enough to wake up to your true nature. You also have to wake up to the world. So that was kind of in the early days, and but something in me knew, apparently knew it enough that I wanted to make a little Facebook post about it. But today, I don't want to full on flip it, but I do want to turn it around a little bit, because so many people are now waking up to what is going on in the world. And it's very easy to get stuck there and be afraid or fight it and be upset about it. And there's a lot of energy in that. And then we could say that's one of the the wormholes, I think, or rabbit holes. So I have been down a lot of rabbit holes over the many years, just to see what's really going on. And some seem a little too far out, at least many years ago, and then over time they become like, wow, maybe it's not as far out as I thought or as I wanted it to be. So I noticed some people who are commenting on my videos, and of course also in the world and on social media and on YouTube, that there certainly are a lot of people who are becoming aware of what's going on. But there's more to the story. And I think it is really, really important that we balance it with what is also going on. And what is also going on is that we are waking up to the truth of who we are. So if you go into one of those rabbit holes or wormholes or whatever they are, and you're reading about it and you're listening to videos about it, and at a certain point, that is what your mind will be looking for to confirm what you read before. And that is like, oh my God. And then there's this one confirming it and that one confirming it. And in that, it can be very true in our experience, even though these rabbit holes, many of them are also colored and flavored and twisted and tweaked. So they're not the full truth either. But if you get too hung up on that, and there are many, many people who are, they have now have this worldview that this is how it is. And they can be very convinced and maybe even convincing about it. Now, I went through a lot of that. Some of it sounded very convincing, only to find out maybe a day, a month, a year later, like there was truth in that, but it's not the full truth of the illusion. It was, again, it was colored, there was deception. Very, very hard to know what to believe today. And I actually did a little video about that not too long ago. You can watch that. I think it is really important that we wake up to what's going on in the world. But I think the bottom line is that nobody really knows. Some people have some truths, some people have other truths, some people bring it all together, and some people say, that is maybe how it looks, but then there's this truth that is also here, and that kind of cancels this out. So it really is true. What can we believe these days? So here's my reality in all of that. I'm listening and reading a lot of the things on all the sides, and I check in, something resonates or not. At this point, I'm more like, yeah, it may be true, it may not be true. I know there's deception. There's no doubt about that. I know there's a matrix in place that is a simulation of what is actually real, and that's what we're experiencing in our mind. But within that, a lot of deception and deception and deception. So please open up, be open to exploring things in the world, in the regular news, the alternative news. Do your own research is kind of what I want to say. Please do your own research. Don't just believe one, because those who just believe the media, the regular media, they're also going into something and they're not open to hearing or seeing other things, just as the alternative can be very difficult times. But like I said, for me, it has become so that I don't really give much energy to all of the things that are being exposed right now. There's certainly a curiosity, what's going to be exposed next and next, and is it even true what's being exposed? Or is it just a half truth that's being exposed? Or is it a twisted truth that's being exposed? We don't know. But that shouldn't mean that we totally ignore it, unless you really are like a monk-like nature, that you just sit here in the presence, being that and beaming that higher frequency into the world. But if you're too lost in the rabbit holes, you miss out on the solution to it all. Because the deeper you go into the rabbit hole, you're trying to find solutions there in the dark. Remember, it's an illusion within an illusion, and there are no solutions in an illusion. Wow, I should do a poem on this. So we have to come out of it too with maybe some insights, and then we have to realize who we are. And that's why back in the days, I said, we need to know who we are, but we also need to know what's going on in the world so we can take right action. But now I say, yes, we need to know what's going on in the world so we can take right action or no action. But man, it's so important to add the awakening part to it, to really realize who we are. We are none of that that's going on there. And we are all of that that's going on there. So we can't just take one side or the other. That's the world of duality, right? That's right, wrong, good, bad, up, down. We want to come out of that so we become whole. That means we don't have to fight this out there. We don't have to believe it. We don't have to engage in it more than necessary. And little by little, we can pull out of it because we're here. And here is oneness. Here is no duality. Here is where the solution comes from. The field that is all around us, inside and out, that is the solution. Whether we bring it into ourselves, into the world, it is the solution. And if we miss that piece, we are not bringing the solution to the world. We are part of the problem because we're feeding the problem with our energy, with our attachments, with our emotions. That's why it's not going to change. But when we stay here and let that irradiate out to whatever comes our way, we embrace it, or we allow it, or we don't touch it. We just, it's like light, we are the light and we're just shining our light in the darkness. We're not fighting the darkness. We are shining our light inside and out. That's the solution as far as I am aware. Tomorrow I may know something bigger and better, who knows? But this is what's alive in me. This is my own life. This is my own practice, maybe. And I want to share that, to please do not get lost in the matrix as it is unraveling. I'm saying don't get lost in it. Be aware of it, yes. Choose wisely how you want to engage in it. And also turn back here, which is not the matrix, which is the oneness, the allness, the fullness, the fulfillment, the love, the light that is missing in what we call the matrix. Okay, I hope that helps. I don't want anybody to get lost in it. We have been lost in the matrix unconsciously. Now we're becoming conscious of the matrix, but we can still be lost in it. And it's not what it's, that's not why we're here. If you are part of my light worker friends, that's not what we came here for. We came here to come home, to clear all the parts in us that have been attached to the matrix, so we can be a pure light shining in these days and the days ahead. I think there's going to be a need for a lot of light as the matrix is, wrestling its last breaths, trying to stay alive. And but that's not what we're here for. We are literally here to now come home. And then because we are now aware of what is going on there, now we can consciously shine our light there instead of getting lost in it. All right, my friends, I hope that is helpful. I always appreciate your likes and comments and shares, and hit all the buttons and let me know what you think and share with your friends. Blessed day.